The European Union demand to extend the Brexit transition, the UK suggests conference calling to continue the trade talks, and Remainers attack the elderly and the vulnerable. Right, with everything that's going on around the world, governments and politicians are clearly too busy trying to save humanity. But they also have other responsibilities to look after the economy, the well-being of their citizens, and your everyday life. And one of the issues is what's happening between the United Kingdom and the European Union. The trade talks are continuing, and the deadline is still there, December 2020. But clearly the European Union can't multitask, so they are now using that as an excuse to ask the UK to delay the Brexit talks again and to extend the transition period. Now, the UK government has had a reaction to this. We are going to talk about this in this video. But before we start, if you are a member of our YouTube membership club, from tomorrow, we're starting our members only live streams and daily vlogs about what's happening with the health issues around the world to keep you guys posted, but also other issues that we want to talk about. If you want to join us, the link is in the description. Check it out. You can also find the join button next to the subscribe button, or just go on your browser, youtube.com/myotc/join. Now, let's start with the European Union. The first suggestion that we have, because the two sides can't really negotiate face to face, they have to do obviously somehow either use emails or video conferencing. Video conferencing is clearly the best option. Yeah, a joint statement released last week said that both sides are currently exploring alternative ways to continue the discussions, including, if possible, the use of video conferences. But some experts fear that online discussions will be a poor substitute for roundtable talks. Now, former British trade negotiator David Hinnig said that a Brexit trade deal could be done over a video conference, but warned that the process would take much longer for some reason. Mr. Hinnig, who is now a director at the European Centre for International Political Economy, said that instead of running 11 things simultaneously, you can make some progress by doing one in turn. It's not that it obviously can't be done, but the dynamic is much slower and than having lots of people together. Now, yeah, he's talking about because there are various teams negotiating various areas of these trade talks at the same time, this is the concern that they have. But again, there are other people coming up with other weird excuses. One is the safety and security of these conference calls and the phone calls that they're going to have, and also in terms of how the connection and the signal is going to be problematic. Yeah, between the European Union and the UK government, which if these two groups don't have good internet connection, I'm really worried about the future of humanity. Yes, one senior business representative has said that, do you really want to negotiate on a line where not only might the sound and picture keep cutting out, but it might not be secure? A Downing Street spokesperson has said that secure calls take place across the government state all the time. Yeah, it's silly. There are phone calls and conference calls happening between world leaders, prime ministers, presidents on a daily basis, and they are extremely secure. Why are you worried about the security of it? And also, if you're talking about leaks, even when we had face-to-face meetings with the European Union over the last 4 years, things got leaked. If someone wants to leak, they could leak. And so this is silly. And now the EU are saying, well, maybe we should just extend the transition period. Why? What is this obsession to make sure that we actually come up with an outcome with the trade talks? If we can't come up with an agreement, we will leave on WTO terms. And luckily, the new Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, who's been quite impressive recently, has also come back out again defending the UK's position and saying we are not extending.
Can you see a situation where you may extend the Brexit transition period to help businesses?
No, I think very, very clearly the Prime Minister has been clear that we don't want to extend the transition period. I think people are fed up of, having more delays and people not doing what they say in this regard. And again, the good news is that we've got off to a good start. The negotiations have started in earnest. Our team have been very well prepared for a while. And a lot of the work that we did last year, preparing for leaving the European Union, it is very helpful and valuable in this regard. And we've already started that work this year to make sure everyone's ready for those new trading relations.
Good, this is strong. And you have the chief negotiator, David Frost, who has now said, I'm going to ignore all these comments and I'm going to publish the first draft of the UK's proposal on these trade talks, I believe, next week. Yes, Boris Johnson's Europe advisor, David Frost, has said that he would now publish a draft free trade deal before next week's round of talks with Brussels. This is coming after Ursula Von Der Leyen, the head of the European Commission's comments earlier on Monday, who said that she needs the UK to establish clear ground rules on its approach. Who are you to tell us how to negotiate? The UK has been quite clear on what we're going to be doing with these negotiations, and I don't think we have to clarify anything to Ursula von der Leyen. And now she's kicking off again. Yes, she told the reporters in the Belgian capital that we are aware that there are differences in the approach towards what scope should the future agreement have and what are, if I may say so, the rules of the game everybody has to abide to. So it will be important that the UK makes up its mind. The closer they want to have access to the single market, the more they have to play by the rules that are the rules of the single market. If it's not the UK's choice, then of course they will be more distant and it will be more difficult for the UK to access the single market. In that case, no thank you. We don't want full access to the single market. We just want a free trade agreement. The problem is a lot of people still don't understand the difference between free trade and the single market. The single market has massive access to the UK and any other countries who are members to their market and regulations. For example, the regulations that comes from the single market is not just about businesses that trade with Europe. It actually applies to a random shop in a corner in London or in Manchester who's not even trading with Europe, but they have to abide to EU rules. Why? It makes absolutely no sense. Now the UK government have reacted. Downing Street have now hit back at von der Leyen's comment to defend itself. A spokesperson for Boris Johnson has insisted that the government has clearly laid out its position. He said that the UK has made up its mind very decisively and has been very clear about what it wants from its future relationship with the EU. The Prime Minister has said that he favoured a Canada-style trade agreement with the EU after Brexit. And now, according to the Daily Express, von der Leyen has now been left red-faced after gibberish answer to UK's Brexit position. Ursula von der Leyen has been accused of talking gibberish over the UK's Brexit stance following her speech. Well, it's clearly silly. So we have the European Union being idiotic as usual, and you have their supporters, the so-called Remoaners or Remainers. Well, now we call them rejoiners. Let's not call them Remainers anymore, because it sounds like a compliment. So they are rejoiners, and with everything that's going on in the world right now, with massive issues that we have, governments trying to look after their citizens with this health problem, and rejoiners are coming out and using this as an excuse to attack the elderly and vulnerable, saying, well, if they die, it's probably a good idea because they all voted Brexit. Yeah, we can't really show the actual tweets because they're quite harsh, but one person said, if this kills a hefty amount of old people in this country, does that mean a general opinion will swing away from Brexit? Another one said, this is the ghost of Brexit coming to kill the old people for voting wrong. And finally someone said, if I get this, I'm targeting old people who voted for Brexit. Yeah, keep it classy, guys. Keep it classy. And so, wow. So you got these rejoiners, and you got the Labour Party, who are rejoiners, and they're going through this leadership election, and if it's still actually happening, because they've cancelled their conference. But Keir Starmer, who is probably going to be winning, he's now changed his tune because he's realised that people are moving on from this topic, and if he keeps bringing back Brexit as an argument, it's going to cause trouble for the Labour Party. So he's now said that rejoining the European Union is no longer a priority for me if I become the leader of the Labour Party. Also, I'm pretty sure he's realised how idiotic the European Union are and how incompetent. Now, we've seen what's been happening around Europe over the last few weeks, especially in Italy, Spain and France. It's quite messy, and the inaction from the EU from day one has been ridiculous, until up to a point where you have individual countries like Germany and others, Austria, actually closing down their borders And the European Union, who've always been proud of this federalist fantasy and paradise that, we are just one main continent, one family, borderless continent. They couldn't stop these individual countries, these sovereign countries. So now Ursula von der Leyen has come out and said, actually, it was my idea. Let's just close down all the borders now. Yeah, so von der Leyen has now come out and proposed a Trump-style travel ban from outside the European Union to say that, yeah, actually, all these countries that defied the EU rule and closed down the borders, I now support them, so let's just close down the whole continent. And she's doing a similar thing as Trump, even though she criticized Donald Trump at the time. Now, what we would think about Boris Johnson's government, depending on the policy, and I've criticized them before, the people in this country are overwhelmingly backing Boris Johnson. Almost 45% of the country are supporting the approach of the UK government, with 30% disapproving. The 30% are basically lefties. Yeah, probably not, but So there are some people who are skeptical, and it's always good to question. I interviewed Julia Hartley-Brewer on my channel yesterday. You could watch the video, and she said, it's always good to question everything and everyone, obviously. But so far, the UK government are coming across much better when it comes to handling this issue compared to other countries. So this is where we are now, and we are going to be covering this on a daily basis. We're going to do, if you're a member of our YouTube membership club, from tomorrow we're going to start our live stream and live chat with me to talk about this and what's happening around Europe, but also around the world, and specifically in the UK, to keep you guys posted on this issue, because it seems like we're not leaving our houses anymore for a while. So I'm just going to be here making YouTube content for you guys, and we do have the daily show. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click on a bell next to it, because the daily show at 5:45 p.m. stays here. It's always free, that's not going anywhere. But we're also going to be doing, for our members, if you want to join our membership club on YouTube, exclusive extra content as well. So if you want to check out the link in the description, or you could just go on the browser and type in youtube.com/myotc/join. Check it out. Join the conversation, and I'll see you guys there. I'm ITC, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.